Welcome back to the deep dive. Ever wonder why some messages, maybe an email or a presentation at work, just seem to click, while others, well, they just fall completely flat?
Yeah, no matter how much time you spend on them,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So today we're diving into how to create truly usable information, the kind that, cuts through all the noise, actually gets results, and frankly, makes your work life a bit easier.
Hmm.
We've really distilled some powerful ideas from some top-notch work on
Oh,
technical
some
communication.
really comprehensive stuff.
Right. And our mission today is to pull out the best, most practical strategies and insights for you.
Yeah, the things you can actually use tomorrow.
We want to equip you so that any document you create, whether it's a big presentation or just a quick email, is clear, effective, and genuinely useful for whoever's reading it.
Which sounds simple, but
It's often not. So we'll get into practical steps, some surprising challenges around persuasion, and how even tiny details can make a huge difference. Okay, let's unpack this.
let's do it.
So, first things first. When we talk about information or a document being usable, what are we really talking about? It seems obvious, but I think it trips a lot of us up.
It really does. It's the core question, isn't it? And it's a bit more rigorous than people might think. Most folks assume usable just means, oh, it's easy to read.
Right.
But the sources we looked at treat it like a real test. A document's usability is measured by how well it actually fulfills the information needs of its audience. Simple as that, but hard to achieve.
Okay.
So for information to be truly usable, readers need to be able to do three key things. First, they got to locate the information easily, no hunting around.
Makes sense.
Second, they need to understand it, like immediately, no deciphering jargon.
Okay.
And third, they have to be able to use that information safely and successfully if any one of those breaks down.
Yeah.
Your info just isn't fully usable.
That's a great framework. And you can immediately think of examples, right? Like that product manual where you couldn't find the setup step.
Or the company memo full of acronyms you didn't know.
Exactly. Or think about rolling out new software at work. Maybe people couldn't find the right menu, or the instructions were confusing, or they thought they understood but ended up deleting something important.
Yeah, been there.
That's not just annoying, it's inefficient. It costs time and money when information isn't usable.
Absolutely.
Okay, so here's where it gets, I think, really interesting, and maybe where things often go wrong. The first most critical step seems to be analyzing your audience deeply.
Right.
We all think we know our audience, right? But the sources really push us to dig deeper, ask questions we might usually just gloss over. It's not just about who they are, but maybe their state of mind. Why is nailing this so crucial?
Well, it's crucial because, look, if you don't truly get who you're talking to, you're essentially just shouting into the wind, right? The real insight here is you need to go beyond just the obvious stuff. You have to ask, okay, who is the main audience? The person who absolutely must get this message.
Right, the primary target.
Exactly. But then who else might read it? Even if they aren't the main focus. And what's your relationship? Are they your boss, your team, people in another department? That changes things
Yeah, the dynamic matters.
hugely.
Yeah.
Then what's their technical background? Are they total laypersons needing super simple language? Are they experts who want all the technical details? Or often is it a mix?
That's a tough one, the mixed audience.
It is. And something often missed.
What about their cultural background? How might that shape how they receive information? And finally, think about the format. What works best for them? A printed manual, a searchable PDF, an interactive web page.
Lots to consider there.
And it includes distinguishing between your primary audience, that's the direct user, maybe the sales team learning new software,
Okay.
and secondary audiences. These are people who interact with the info indirectly. It could be their manager who needs to sign off on something, or maybe IT support who has to help troubleshoot later.
Ah, right. They need the information too, but for different reasons.
Precisely. They touch the same information, but their needs are different. And that technical background point you mentioned, layperson versus expert, can you give an example?
Sure. Think about explaining a new company policy on expense reporting. How you explain it to a brand new hire versus, say, a seasoned finance director.
Yeah,
Totally different, right?
completely. One needs the step-by-step, the other needs the nuances, the why.
Exactly. A really good large-scale example is something like the FDA website. They do a
Uh-huh.
fantastic job adapting complex info. They have separate sections clearly labeled for consumers, patients, health professionals, scientists, industry.
Interesting. Same core facts, different presentation.
Right. The language, the depth, the examples, all tailored to that specific group's understanding and what they need to do with the information.
And the cultural background piece, you mentioned that's often overlooked.
Yeah, and it's really important. It's not just about language translation. It's about context, communication styles. For instance, some East Asian business cultures might prefer a more indirect approach, focusing on harmony, whereas some Western cultures often prioritize very direct, explicit instructions. This affects everything: word choice, how you structure an argument, even visuals.
So boiling down this audience analysis,
Yeah.
it's not just who they are, but what problems are they trying to solve with your information? What baggage or context are they bringing?
Exactly. You got to picture them. Anticipate their questions, the classic who, what, when, where, why, how, and maybe the most important one, so what?
Huh, right. Why should I care?
Yeah. And remember, audiences aren't just passive sponges. They're actively looking for something specific. They're busy, maybe impatient. You have to meet them where they are.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So once we've really tried to get inside the audience's head, the next logical step seems to be, what exactly are we trying to achieve here? Defining the document's purpose.
Precisely. Every useful piece of information has a core purpose.
Is it mainly just to inform people about something, like here's the update?
Okay.
Or is it to instruct them, show them how to do something specific step by step?
Like our software example. Right. Or is it to persuade them? To convince them to adopt a certain viewpoint or take a specific action?
Like trying to get funding for a project.
Exactly. A training manual for that new software primarily instructs. A project proposal primarily persuades leadership by showing the benefits. And of course, documents can have secondary purposes too, like helping someone grasp a complex idea or just follow a simple checklist.
Let's zoom in on that persuade purpose for a minute, because let's be honest, getting people to actually do something or think differently, especially at work, that can be really tough.
Oh, absolutely. It really can be. And it's where a lot of communication, even well-intentioned communication, just fails.
So what do the sources say about effective persuasion in this context?
They outline three distinct approaches for connecting with an audience to persuade them. Ways to frame your message.
Okay.
First, there's what they call the power connection. This aims for compliance. It's basically do it because I said so. The writer uses authority, maybe a mandate, to force compliance.
A bit blunt.
Can be. Second is the relationship connection. This is about identification. It's more like do it because I'd appreciate it or do it because it aligns with our shared goals or values. You're building trust, leveraging that connection.
More collaborative.
Yeah. And third, the rational connection. This aims for internalization. The message here is do it because it just makes sense. You appeal to logic, data, evidence, helping the audience see the rationale for themselves and really buy into it.
That rational one sounds like the best bet usually. Just use logic, right?
I think so. But here's the catch our source points out. We often misjudge what actually makes sense to our audience, especially if it bumps up against their habits or beliefs.
So it's not just your logic, it's whether it connects with their logic.
Precisely. Let's take that new software launch again. A Power Connection memo might just say, effective Monday, all employees will use the new system, period.
Right, direct order.
A relationship connection memo might frame it differently.
Yeah.
You know, as a team, we're always looking for ways to be more efficient. This new tool helps us do that. Your adoption is really key to our shared success.
Appeals to teamwork.
And the rational connection memo would probably detail the features, maybe show data on how much time it saves compared to the old way, project the ROI.
Laying out the evidence.
Exactly. Each aims to persuade, but the feeling, the buy-in, the long-term impact, it can be really different depending on the approach and the audience.
That's a really useful way to think about framing. Are there other quick persuasion tips?
Yeah, the sources mention a few others, like be crystal clear on your specific goal. What exactly do you want them to do or think? Anticipate their likely reactions. Will they be annoyed, skeptical, excited?
Yeah, your audience again.
Always. Don't ask for too much all at once. Allow for some give and take. Recognize constraints, legal stuff, budget limits. Consider cultural context again. And, choose the right time and the right channel for the message. Email, meeting, memo.
So much strategy involved. It's not just about writing clearly, but writing smartly to achieve that purpose.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered understanding the audience and defining the purpose. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty. Actually organizing the information so people can find, understand, and use it. Structuring it.
Right. And a really critical part of structuring, especially for instructions or processes, is something called task analysis.
Task analysis sounds a bit technical.
It does, but the concept is simple. It's just breaking down a complex activity into smaller logical steps. main tasks, and then the subtasks under each one.
Okay, like how?
Let's stick with onboarding someone to that new internal software. The main tasks might be, say, accessing the system, creating a new project, and generating a report.
Got it, big buckets.
Right. Then under accessing the system, the subtasks would be the really specific actions. Navigate to the login URL, enter username and password, complete multi-factor authentication.
Ah, okay, really granular.
Exactly. And for creating a new project, you'd list out. Click New Project button, select Project Template, enter project name, assign team members, step by step. This makes sure nothing gets missed, and it's super clear.
I can see how that prevents confusion. No skip steps.
Totally. And beyond task analysis, there are other related usability factors to think about when you're planning.
Like what?
Well, the setting. Where will people actually use this information? If our software instructions are for remote workers, they need to be digital, searchable, maybe mobile-friendly.
Good point.
You also need to anticipate potential problems. Where do users usually get stuck? What are common errors? You could proactively address those.
Okay.
Think about length. How much detail is enough without being overwhelming? It's balance. And the format is huge page layout, use of headings, lists, screenshots, maybe videos for software. And the medium itself, print, PDF, website.
Lots of design choices there.
Definitely. And don't forget practicalities like timing deadlines and budget. Those always play a role in what's possible.
It feels like you almost need a plan before you even start writing.
Absolutely. That's exactly what the sources recommend. Develop an information plan up front. It's like a blueprint.
What goes into that?
Think of it like an internal memo before you create the actual document.
Yeah.
It would lay out who's the primary audience, secondary, what's the exact purpose. It would include that detailed task analysis we talked about, rough ideas for design, visuals, navigation, and a realistic schedule.
So it forces you to think through all these usability factors beforehand.
Precisely. It saves a ton of time and frustration later, preventing major rework because you miss something crucial about the audience or the task.
Okay, this all paints a picture that creating usable information isn't like writing an essay, hitting save, and you're done.
Not at all. It's definitely not a one-shot deal. It's much more iterative.
Iterative, meaning?
Meaning it's a cycle. The core stages are write, test, revise, and then finally proofread. It's a loop.
Okay. Write, test, revise, proofread. So testing is built right in.
Crucially, you write a draft, then you test its usability. You watch real users try to use it or get feedback. Then you revise based on what you learned. Maybe you test again.
What are you looking for during that testing and revision phase?
You're looking critically at several things. The content. Are there inaccuracies, ambiguities, things that are unclear?
Right.
The organization. Is the structure logical? Can people find what they need easily, maybe navigating our software guide? Is the flow intuitive?
Okay.
The style. Is the tone right? Is the language clear and understandable for the intended audience? Too much jargon? Too simplistic?
Got it.
Layout and visuals. Were the pages easy to scan? Do the headings work? Are the visuals actually helpful or just decoration? Is navigation clear? And finally, step back and consider ethical, legal, or cultural issues. Is there anything in how we've presented this that could cause problems or be misinterpreted?
That's a comprehensive checklist. And then the final step you mentioned was proofreading. Seems straightforward, but any specific tips there?
Yeah, proofreading is essential, but it needs care. First, always save it for the absolute final step, after all the big content and structure changes are done.
Okay, don't mix it with editing.
Exactly. Also, take a break before you proofread, especially if it's your own writing. You need fresh eyes. An hour away, or even better, a day.
Good advice. Hard to do sometimes.
It is. Working from a hard copy can help too. Errors often seem to jump out more on paper than on screen for some reason.
Interesting.
Go slow. Really slow. Maybe use a ruler or another piece of paper to focus on one line at a time so you don't skim. Be extra alert for your known problem areas. Maybe you always misuse semicolons or struggle with run-on sentences.
Knows thyself.
Right. Proofread multiple times if you can, maybe focusing on different things each pass, once for typos, once for grammar, once for formatting consistency. And please, please don't just rely on spell check or grammar tools.
Ah, the autocorrect trap.
Totally. They catch some things, but they miss a lot. They won't know if you use the wrong word entirely, like there instead of there, or if your sentence just doesn't make logical sense. Human eyes are still essential for that final polish.
Wow. This has been such a really powerful deep dive. It really brings home that creating usable information, it's not just about clarity, it's about this deliberate, audience-focused process.
Mm-hmm.
It's about respecting people's time, their intelligence, making sure they can actually do something with what you've given them, knowing the audience, defining the purpose, structuring it carefully, testing, refining.
Yeah, it's a whole system.
These strategies really feel like they empower you, the listener, to be a much more effective communicator. Whether it's rolling out complex software or just writing a team update, it's about building trust and ensuring action.
Absolutely. And when you apply these principles, you really can transform what might just be another document, another email, another web page, into a genuinely powerful tool, a tool for understanding and ultimately for action. It bridges that gap between just putting information out there and actually ensuring it gets absorbed, understood, and used effectively. Which, it kind of raises an important question for everyone listening. In this world where we're just flooded with information constantly, how can you leverage these kinds of strategies, not just to make sure you're understood, but to ensure your message genuinely makes an impact and empowers other people to use that information effectively in their own work, in their own lives?
That's a fantastic challenge to think about. How to make your information truly matter. Thank you for joining us on the Step Dive today.
My pleasure.